Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, it's turkey decoys and hunting strategies. The latest out of D.C. on the bump stock ban. Getting youths involved in shooting sports, gun rights and gun control news, and more. And as always, call 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, here's Tom.
Well, howdy. Tom Gresham here. We're going to be having a lot of fun. We're going to talk about a lot of interesting things. We have breaking news to share with you today. Stuff that's been happening over the last 48 hours. Fascinating things, interesting things, informative things, and frankly, we're going to be talking about the bump stock ban or not ban. What? What just happened? We'll tell you. A lot of things cooking. We also, before I forget, I need to announce, we do these giveaways here, of course. Let's see, the winner of the Brownells, XBRN177E2 carbine. That's the AR-15 type carbine. Sean P. in Kansas. We will be shooting you an email tomorrow on Monday. But Sean P. in Kansas, you won this really nice rifle. Also, we're doing a brand new giveaway, the Stuff You're Safe giveaway. We'll talk about that as we go along here. But you definitely want to go to guntalk.com/win. I'm looking at, holy smoke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We got rifles. We got shotguns. We got clothing. We have Glock 22. We have an FN 509 pistol. A lot of stuff. We're giving away a stunning amount of stuff. Guntalk.com/win. WIN. Huge amount of things going on. From everything. Holy cow! Everything from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, trying to shame the banks into breaking off their relationships with the highly regulated firearms industry. I call this Operation Choke Point 2.0, where she says, there are a lot of ways to get things done, even if you can't pass the laws. We could just threaten them, shame them. When you're on the House Financial Committee, when you express concern, it's a threat. It's an implied threat. It's a mafia-type threat. And that's what she's up to. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But I'll tell you what, but first, by the way, if you'd like to join us, if you want to get in line, if you want to call me right now, by all means do that. Number here is 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. We have for several weeks in a row now been talking about the upcoming ban on bump stocks. A bump stock is simply a device that goes onto the back of your rifle. I guess it could go on a shotgun. That allows you to shoot it more quickly. It does not convert it to full automatic because that is a specific definition where you hold the trigger back and the firearm keeps firing until you release the trigger or it runs out of ammo. With a bump stock, it basically allows the gun to move back and forth and you pull the trigger kind of as a result of the movement of the gun or kind of as a result of recoil. But it specifically does not meet the criteria of full automatic. So said the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives for a number of years. And they issued letters and said, these are legal owned. And then they flipped over after the shooting in Las Vegas, which, by the way, we've yet to see those guns. And nobody's actually shown us that bump stocks were even used there. Curious, don't you think? But I digress. So President Trump said, we're going to do something about that, and directed ATF to do something about that. And they issued a regulation that says we're going to now, even though we told you they're legal, now they're going to become restricted items. They're going to become the equivalent of machine guns. No, you will not be able to register them under the NFA, the National Firearms Act, as you can silencers and machine guns. You simply won't be able to own one. And if you continue to own one, that would be a felony crime. This goes into effect slightly about 36 hours from now, as I'm speaking to you right now, midnight on Monday night. Or not. Joining me right now to talk about his particular case, we've had him on recently, Clark Aposhian out of Utah. Clark, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good for a kid, Tom. How about you?
Yeah, no kidding. So, okay, you filed one of the lawsuits. There's several lawsuits challenging the bump stock ban, and yours was, frankly, one of the most out there, interesting people, a lot of people not giving it much chance of doing anything. And then late this week, holy cow, what happens? You get a judge that says, yeah, we might want to get you an injunction on this thing. Tell us what happened.
So what happened was we were denied February 14th. We went into 10th Circuit Court to see Justice Jill Parrish. She eventually denied our injunction, but she was still holding out hope on the overall one. But so she denied the injunction. We appealed again. So she got it, and she denied it again. And then we did an emergency appeal last Thursday to the full 10th Circuit Court. Full 10th Circuit looks at it and says, you know what? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and grant this injunction, but with the caveat, it's only for Mr. Aposhian, not for overall, not for all the other 500, 500,000 odd bump stock owners.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's what was a little weird. I mean, if it's good for one, it should be good for everybody. But nonetheless, I will have probably the most valuable bump stock in the nation come Tuesday morning.
And when I talked to you earlier, you said you actually been contacted by people that say, look, how would you like to hold on to my bump stock until this thing all gets worked out? I'm not sure you can have enough warehouse space for that.
Yeah, exactly. I actually told them to call my attorneys, Caleb Kruckenberg, over the New Civil Liberties Alliance, and get the okay from him before I start doing anything like that. Yeah,
exactly. All right, so while this is interesting, and at first it was really encouraging, and then when we started looking at the fine print, this injunction on the enforcement of the bump stock ban actually only applies to you.
Yeah. Yeah, the only one, the only one so far, unless they come out with another hearing on the D.C. Circuit one. That right now I'm the only one that can legally own one after 12:01 a.m. on the morning of the 26th.
Well, in about 15 minutes, we'll be talking with the folks from the Firearms Policy Coalition because they also got a ruling out of the D.C. Circuit, which they got an injunction as well, and I think they're actually working on that even as we speak to try to get that expanded to the entire class, which would be everybody. I don't know where that is. We'll find out. So on your particular case, where do you go from here?
Well, now we wait until we get a hearing before the 10th Circuit Court on the merits of the overall case, trying to get rid of the ban, essentially trying to invalidate the final bump stock rule, the final rule. And, of course, what everybody's asking, but what about mine? I mean, if it's okay for Clark to continue to own one, but as of Tuesday, it becomes a felony crime to have one, to own one. What do I do? And the answer is we don't know. I don't know what to tell people to do yet. Maybe I'll know more in an hour when we talk to some of the other folks about this. And I guess you're right.
It's a mess.
I know my attorney has said comply with the law always on this because he's never gonna say I did dig a hole in your backyard. No, you've got to be in compliance with the law. I imagine that if we ultimately prevail overall, that a company will probably. Then again, I don't know. I think I'd be a little gun shy, so to speak, if I were to start with a bump stock company.
I don't think you'll see a bump stock company come back. Well, but who knows? Weird things happen. I mean, I've had people say, no company is going to start making bump stocks now after all of this. Then again, if it gets tossed out and it becomes completely legal to own again, why wouldn't somebody do that? People say, well, you couldn't get insurance. Well, that's a different issue altogether. And some companies actually operate naked. They don't have insurance. Particularly if it's a small startup. But I guess I don't know. So how long is your injunction good for?
My injunction's good for until they get together and decide it isn't and decide to the contrary. But until they do that, until they get together and say, we do that, it just buys us time for them to hear the overall case. And that's essentially what it does. It's the case on its merits on the so the injunction is just a hold on a second type of a thing while we decide on the overall.
And of course the whole idea of the injunction is, look, if the court looks at it and says, there's a chance these guys could win, And if that's the case, then you can't have an order going forward to say you have to destroy them, because then it all becomes moot if they're all destroyed or turned in.
Yeah, it'd be irreparable harm. And that's what my attorneys argued, was it would be irreparable. I would suffer irreparable harm if I had to turn it in, because you can't remake the bump stock, and there's no one making them anymore right now. So, yeah. Right.
How did you find out about this decision?
I got a call from my attorney, actually, on Thursday. And so I made 2 phone calls. One was to my wife, and the next was actually to you.
And I appreciate you putting your wife in front of me. That's probably real smart on your part.
Yeah. So I hear Levi's is a little, irritated right now that people are using their own belt loops to bump fire firearms. So,
yeah, of course, the CEO of Levi's came out and said we're going to pay our employees to go be active to push for gun control measures. Someone pointed out to me, by the way, just a thought I had not had, that, that happened about 3 weeks before they doing an IPO, an initial stock offering, and public offering, which maybe they just wanted to get as much press as they could, because nobody was paying any attention to Levi's before. Now everybody's talking about them just in time for their IPO.
Oh, that's interesting. How interesting.
Always follow the money, right?
Yes, indeed.
That's it. Clark Aposhian, thank you for spending some time with us, and keep us posted if you would, please.
I will, Tom. Thanks. Bye.
All right, take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. We're in the middle of this thing. I tell you what, in about 15 minutes, we'll have more information on yet another case, bump stock case, where we have another injunction. And what is that going to mean? And is that going to include you and all 500,000 people who have bump stocks? I don't know. We'll find out. In the meantime, looking for your range reports. What have you been shooting? What have you been buying? Oh, my gosh. I went crazy. Make a low-ball offer on a gun. And the guy says, sure, I'll sell it to you for that. What was I thinking? 866-TALK-GUN.
Whether you are a first-timer or seasoned shooter, Double Star has the guns, edged weapons, and parts you desire. Our products are made in America and held to the highest quality standards. No exceptions. Double Star and Ace Limited manufactures products people bet their lives on without hesitation. That awesome responsibility motivates the Double Star family, and it will proudly protect yours. When you're ready for the best, join our family at star15.com. That's star15.com.
When someone leaves you their gun collection, you may want a few, but what do you do with the rest? How do you sell them? Who do you call? Well, I call Johnny Dury at Dury's Guns. Whether you're selling 1 gun or 500, they'll tell you what it's worth and write you a check. Simple, quick, easy, fair. I trust Dury's Guns. Give them a call. DurysGuns.com.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gundealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
The new FN 509 midsize 9mm pistol is now part of FN's legendary concealed carry lineup, and it is a natural fit. With its smaller grip frame modeled after the battle-proven million rounds tested FN 509, the FN 509 midsize comes with 2 15-round magazines and naturally improves concealability. Available at your local firearms dealer. FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms.
have a question for you. What gun, or guns, plural, do you think are generally underappreciated? I have a few that I think people just don't quite get how good they are. Partly on new guns, partly because there's so many good new guns out these days. And some of them kind of get bypassed in the rush. Particularly handguns. God, lordy, we have a lot of good handguns out these days. I was just listening to the commercial there, the FN 509, great pistol. The Ruger SR9, SR series, terrific pistol. The Ruger American pistol, terrific series of guns. I mean, it goes on and on. Some of the Walthers are just really trim and don't get as much attention, media, buzz, maybe that this is worth. I don't know, maybe do we have more capacity to make guns than we have to pay attention to them, perhaps? I don't know. It's just curious. Are there any guns that either you have or you know about that you think are particularly really great and people don't quite get? Also, I got this email from Rusty. It says, Tom, wanted to let you know today that I saw where Aguila is now making 5mm ammo. If that doesn't work out, you can purchase a new bolt head. I found a used Remington 591 rifle, chamber for the 5mm Remington Magnum rimfire. He says, if that doesn't work out, getting the ammo, you can purchase a new bolt head off the net for a center fire version of that round, and that you'll have to hand load it for that one. He says, a friend of mine has one, and it's an accurate plinker. Thanks, Rusty. I have a brick of the Aguila 5mm ammo. Fortunately, weirdly enough, local gun store has found 2 boxes of 50 rounds each of original Remington 5mm ammo. You'll love this. Still has the price on them. $2.99 a box. I'm not sure you can buy a long rifle for that now. So I have those 2 boxes, and I have a brick of the Aguila, and I really probably need to put in, I don't know, therein lies the question. How much ammo is enough, particularly of one where you could end up not being able to get ammo for it again? I suspect that this Aguila run will be a limited run. They've done that before where they did a limited run of 5mm. I'm thinking, what do you think, 1,500 rounds, 2,000 rounds enough? I mean, yeah, if you run short, it wasn't enough, and if you have it for the next 20 years, maybe you overbought. But how do you know? I mean, how do you know? We have had stories in the news. Here's not a good one. Out of Alabama, Blount County, Alabama, 74-year-old Henry Rex Weaver. He's a substitute teacher, first grade. He had a pistol in his pocket. Yeah, it went off. Down his leg. Don't think it even hit him, I'm not sure. Said through the pants, into the floor, went into the floor, shattered the tile. No one got hurt. He was arrested. I'm not going to even go there on, substitute teacher having a gun in school is not permitted to. It's illegal. But I will go into the whole sticking a pistol in your pants pocket. We've covered this before. If you don't have anything covering the trigger guard, as in a holster, stuff in your pocket can pull the trigger. When you reach into your pocket, you can pull the trigger. When you reach into your pocket, pull the gun out, you can pull the trigger. Guess what happens when you pull the trigger? Okay? Let's not be doing that. Let's not be just shoving a gun down in our pocket. Let's get a little pocket holster that covers the trigger guard. Let's be smart. Let's be safe. Let's be responsible. Let's be the good guys. Line 2, Bill's with us out of Southern Oregon. Hello, Bill. You're on Gun Talk.
Hello.
Is Bill? Hey, Bill. What's up?
Hi. Wondering what you can tell me about the 300 Hammer. Have you had any experience with that?
I have not. Have you shot one?
No, but I see they're a little faster than a regular 300 Blackhawk.
This is that round from Wilson Combat, isn't it?
Yes, Bill Wilson.
Yeah, it's one of those, having not looked at it, I always default to the same old position, and I'm often proven wrong with it, unfortunately. And that position is, why do we need this? Do we actually need another caliber? And then typically I find out more about it and go, oh, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I did that with the 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm going, really, do we need that? And then later on you're going, man, that's a really great caliber. So I don't know. The 300 hammer, by the way, for those who are looking it up, is HAM''R. They leave out the MMER. So 300 hammer. You can look it up on wilsoncombat.com. Unfortunately, I don't have the information on it, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put out the call. Somebody listening probably has one and has shot it. And we're going to try to figure it out here. If you could help Bill out, give us a holler, 866-TALK-GUN. There are new calibers out. In fact, we've got a crew heading over to Texas today to shoot, not brand new cartridge, but the 300 PRC. This is another Ruger Hornady combo, the 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC, long range. Basically, they're compact magnums, if you will. Pretty interesting stuff. I think they're going to end up being really good. Obviously, the 6.5 Creedmoor is excellent. The 6.5 PRC is just more of it, and the 300 PRC is basically a short magnum. We'll see. Hey, when we come back, we're going to have the very latest information on yet another case where the bump stock ban has been enjoined. That is, they have put a stay on the enforcement of it. What I don't know is, does it apply just to them, or does it apply to you as well? We'll find out in just a minute.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
On this bump stock issue, there are a lot of folks who say, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. Who cares about it? It's not a gun. It's just a thing. I don't know. I mean, I understand where they're coming from. On the other hand, it just feels to me as though it is a big thing. It feels to me as though there's a larger issue here. It's just one of those things you're going, yeah, I think there's more to this than just what it is on the surface. And certainly has appeared that way to a lot of folks who are challenging this ban, which, by the way, goes into effect midnight tomorrow night, as I'm speaking to you on Monday night, midnight. We had the one case with Clark Aposhian we talked about earlier, and he got a stay, an injunction, but it applied only to him, not to the 500,000 other people who have bump stocks, who are still required to destroy them or turn them in. And yet then on Friday, the relatively new and highly aggressive Firearms Policy Coalition got an injunction as well. Joining us to talk about that and fill us in on what it actually means, Brandon Combs joins us. Brandon, tell me what's going on. Bring us up to date, if you would, please.
Sure, and it's great to be back, Tom. On Friday morning, we had oral arguments at the D.C. Circuit in which 3 cases were presented. There are 3 consolidated cases there. And one of them was the Guida's challenge to the Administrative Procedure Act process that the agency purported to follow in establishing this wildly broad final rule banning bump stocks. Mm-hmm. The court seemed very skeptical of the government's arguments, and frankly, I think it might have been one of the roughest oral arguments for a government I've ever seen.
Really?
Notwithstanding, yeah, it was a pretty interesting oral argument. It went about 2 hours in total, which was pretty long for a Court of Appeals argument. Nonetheless, we following that later on yesterday, in fact, the court issued a partial stay, a narrow partial stay as to the appellants. So tonight we're working on broadening that if we can, and going from there. We're trying to protect all, hundreds of thousands of Americans who have these devices.
Okay, well, when you say it was a narrow decision only to the appellants in non-legal regular guy speak, what's that mean?
Basically what it means is the court said, look, ATF, something seems odd here, but we're not saying anything about the merits. We're just saying this has been very rushed. It was an expedited appeal, so we really haven't had a lot of time to think about this and look at all the briefs. So because of that, we want you to not enforce the rule against the people who are here before us, before the court, the appellants, which were the organizations.
Just the ones in the court.
Correct.
Just the ones who have filed the suit, not for everybody then.
That's right. And so we had asked for relief as to everyone. And the court on its own motion said, look, we just want a little space to think about this stuff. There's a lot going on here, and this was very rushed. So we're asking the court today, in fact, to broaden its stay order to apply to everyone across the United States.
So you guys are working on Sunday, and the court is as well.
We're going to be working 24 hours a day, probably just about here for the next couple of days, whatever it takes. I mean, there's not going to be any option left on the table when it's all said and done. And so we're just doing the best we can to protect Americans from this very, very, very dangerous final rule.
All right, so help me out here. I mean, you heard me saying that there are a lot of people, a lot of gun owners who say, what's the big deal? It's just a piece of plastic. It's not a gun. It's not a thing. What's the principle involved here?
Well, frankly, there are a number of principles involved here. Separation of powers is one of them, of course, but also I think probably more fundamentally for gun owners, if the ATF can simply redefine on its own what Congress wrote, these terms that are in the statutes, and just say, hey, you know what, today or on this date, they mean something else, then frankly, I think you need to be really concerned about magazines, competition triggers, buffer tubes. I mean, just about anything potentially could sort of take the regular, what we call semi-automatic, and have it swallowed by other terms that are defined and regulated potentially under the Firearms Act, the National Firearms Act. So one day in maybe a more hostile environment, if the ATF can say that a piece of plastic is a machine gun, then why couldn't it say that competition triggers allow people to fire faster than a regular trigger would?
Or that a magazine holding more than 10 rounds facilitates rapid action and a magazine becomes a machine gun.
I mean, exactly. There's no real limit. And one thing that happened at oral argument that was very curious, and even the court was very, I think, shocked by this. The government said, oh, this isn't really a rule. This isn't really a new rule. This is really just public notice that we're changing our discretion. So they're saying, in oral arguments, they said, they said, look, we're not actually changing the rules. We're saying these were always machine guns, and people that have them were always felons.
Okay, now that has been tried before. That's basically was it New Jersey? New York. It's New York where the Attorney General says, actually, we're just changing. You guys have always been illegal. We're just now going to start enforcing it. But I don't know how the ATF, the federal government, says that when they have been issuing letters all along saying these are not machine guns.
Well, the government says, well, shucks, we just had it wrong, but those aren't really legal documents, and those aren't really things that matter. So it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. The government's sitting back there going, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, and we're sitting there going, well, look at the law and the facts. And I think, frankly, the court didn't buy their argument, but, we'll see.
It's as though the government attorneys are saying these are not the droids you're looking for. Really? You want us to buy this?
Well, right, and the government kept changing its mind as to what it really wanted to do. The court was talking about agency deference and Chevron deference. Everyone was talking about deference. The lower court talked about deference, except the government continues to say that Chevron does not apply here. And so it's kind of like having their cake and eating it too, and at some point they run out of room. I think that they've sort of put themselves in an interesting spot. And again, you never really know what courts are going to do from oral arguments, so I wouldn't put too much stock in in what they sounded like. But, for whatever it's worth, I do think that there are some really substantial questions here that the government didn't, I don't think, prosecute terribly well for their side. But that's good for gun owners. I think we've got a pretty good posture here.
Okay, Brandon, I got to run to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I want to find out, number one, what do we do, those of us who are out here, people who have gun bump stocks? And number two is going to be, how do we know over the next 36 hours what actually transpires? We're talking with Brandon Combs from the Firearms Policy Coalition. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
Founded with the singular purpose of building fine sporting firearms, Kimber creates a handgun for every person and a rifle for every adventure. While embracing modern manufacturing techniques, every Kimber depends on practiced hands for assembly, fit, and finish. There's no compromise in features, materials, or performance. Synonymous with quality, precision, and excellence, and made in America. Kimber is what all guns should be. Visit KimberAmerica.com. That's KimberAmerica.com.
The next big thing for the AR-15 has arrived. The Brownells BRN 180 Upper. A modernized version of the Armalite AR-180. Featuring a 16-inch barrel, a 223 wild chamber, and a full-length pick rail. The BRN 180 skips the buffer system to allow complete function of the firearm with the stock folded or extended. Best of all, the Brownells BRN 180 mounts to any mil-spec AR lower. Visit Brownells.com today.
Hi, this is Ryan Gresham from Gun Talk. If you like guns, you need to enter our biggest giveaway ever at guntalk.com/win. One person will win more than $11,000 in guns, gear, and accessories to stuff your safe or hit the range. The grand prize includes a night vision scope and rangefinder from ATN, a custom 1911 from Auto Ordnance, a Crossbreed Holsters concealed carry pack, an FN 509 tactical pistol, the ultimate gun safe organizer pack from Gun Storage Solutions, a custom Glock 22 from Lone Wolf Distributors, clothing, range bags, and more from Proper, Remington's 870 DM and TAC 14 shotguns, plus 2 cases of buckshot, Stag Arms Stag 15 tactical rifle, Tandem Cross rimfire customization kits, a Ruger Mark IV pistol, and much, much more. Go to guntalk.com/win to enter. That's guntalk.com/win.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Why do hunters and shooters love the Ruger American Rifle? With right-handed and left-handed versions, all-weather, Magnum, Compact, Predator, Ranch, and Scope package options, there's a Ruger American for everyone. Lightweight with an adjustable trigger and minute of angle accuracy, Ruger American rifles pack in the features. Is the Ruger American the best rifle on the market? See for yourself at your local retailer or at Ruger.com. That's Ruger.com.
We've actually had a number of favorable rulings in the last week or so. I'll be telling you about more of those as we go along. But we've had 2 rulings in the last 48 hours about the bump stock ban, basically putting stays or temporary injunctions in to block the enforcement of the federal bump stock ban. The only problem is, as of right now, it only applies to the people who filed the suits. Everybody else still is required to destroy or turn in their bump stocks by Monday night. We're talking with Brandon Combs from the Firearms Policy Coalition, which, by the way, is a fairly new gun rights group, but a very forceful and aggressive group doing some really important stuff. Brandon, you guys are just, taking names out there.
Well, thanks, Tom. We just try to work really hard and stay focused on what we think is important and maybe places where others can't be quite as vocal in those ways.
So you have this stay on the bump stock ban filed on the basis of a few people, and so the court says, okay, the government can't enforce the ban on those particular people, and right now you're trying to go to them and say, but wait, there's 500,000 people out here who are similarly at risk. Can we get some kind of protection for them, at least until we work all this out? How am I doing with this?
Yeah, that's right. And one more thing to add to that is that we're asking the government, DOJ and ATF, if they would voluntarily agree in writing to not enforce the rule. So we're asking them, we're asking the courts, and we'll be working on that over the weekend.
So you could get there through at least those two paths, maybe others, but one would be a court order, the other would be DOJ voluntarily saying in writing, I would enforce that, is that, okay, we're not going to enforce this, and basically everybody can take a timeout until it works its way through the court. I gather that and I was listening to the oral arguments, which, by the way, were interesting, when you start out and say, we don't have to prove to the court at this point that we're going to win. All we have to show is that we have at least a chance of winning, right?
That's right. I mean, the government already conceded the other three factors that are considered by courts in these kinds of injunction requests. So the only thing that's left is whether or not we can show a decent chance of winning, not necessarily that we will win. And I think that we've done that. And frankly, I think the government conceded that at arguments on Friday. So at this point, getting a broader injunction should be on the table for us, and that's why we're working over the weekend.
All right, so you got 500,000 or so people out here who have these devices. They were purchased legally. The ATF said it's legal. ATF said you're fine with it. And now they're facing the prospect of, on midnight, Monday night, they would be breaking the law. They wouldn't become felons, because you don't become a felon until you're convicted, but you would be committing a felony offense by having this device. What should they do? How do they stay plugged in to find out what the news is on this?
The best thing to do would be to follow the case and all of these different little procedures that we're doing over the weekend at bumpstockcase.com. Any updates we'll be posting there in real time. So bumpstockcase.com is the best place to go to keep apprised of what's happening in these cases. And then beyond that, people might want to go to the ATF website and see what they have to say about how to either destroy the bump stock or turn it in. However, one caveat to that is we've received some reports of people who attempted to turn in their bump stocks to a ATF field office. And what we heard is that they were being refused. So, as is typical government, it's very possible that they will not allow you to do that. So the ATF's website is another resource for how to destroy your bump stock if that's something that you want to do.
Okay, so bumpstockcase.com, and you want to find out what's going on. Brandon, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you very much, Tom.
All righty, you take care. All right, check it out if you have a bump stock. Even if you don't, you want to find out what's going on. I would be checking this thing about every 3 or 4 hours, honestly, for the next 36 hours. Bumpstockcase.com. Do you have a bump stock? What do you plan to do? How are you going to handle it? 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun. Be right back. Talk-Gun gets you in there. Talk Gun. Seeing a lot of calls, always by Democrats, for the U.S. to follow the lead of New Zealand in banning guns. The PM, Prime Minister of New Zealand, said we're going to ban all the guns that this murderer used. It's interesting how the media here and the Democrats, the gun ban lobby, when they report that here, they say, well, they're going to ban assault rifles, semi-automatic rifles. I don't think it's an accident that when they report that here, they're not mentioning that he also used a semi-automatic shotgun, and they're going to ban those as well. One has to assume that when she says we're going to ban all the guns he used, that's going to include shotguns. Why would they be leaving out the information about shotguns here? Well, simple, because a lot of people would say, wait, stop. Back the truck up. Did you just say you're going to ban shotguns? You're going to ban my duck hunting shotgun? My turkey hunting shotgun? Yes, that's what they are going to do. Well, if you want to follow the lead of New Zealand, I would say, well, go all the way. Because they now have made it illegal in New Zealand. 2 people have been charged already with sharing the video of the shooting. Yeah. They also say it's illegal to send somebody, to even have on your computer, or to send somebody a copy of the manifesto that this murderer wrote. All this comes from the country's chief censor. I am not making this up. They have a chief censor in New Zealand. So if we want to follow the lead of New Zealand, let's start by censoring things. You can't share that particular video. You can't have that particular document. It would be a crime. We could put you in jail for emailing a document to someone else. If you want to use New Zealand as your example of what we should be doing here. No? I didn't think so. Line 2, James is with us out of Indiana. Hello, James. What's up?
Hey, Tom. It's amazing how your First Amendment rights are so closely followed by your Second Amendment rights when they want to start taking these things away.
No kidding.
Yeah. But I called with the range report. Last weekend, I had an opportunity to take some youngsters out and try and influence our next generation, get them motivated to want to come out and to the range and go shooting and everything. My Boy Scout troop, we went out camping and we had some downtime, so we walked on up the road to where there's a range where our RSO at, and we got on the 22. I had a 22 Marlin out there, and we did some shooting on paper, and they'd been to Boy Scout camp a few times, and so they'd been there, done that, and we got a little bored. So I said, oh, well, let's come on over here to the 50-yard line and do some shooting with some steel, and that's where the real, kind of competition and competitiveness.
I'm going to have to jump in, James. I apologize, but man, there's something wonky going on with your cell phone. It's just you're kind of coming in and out, and the sound is weird. What we're going to do? We're going to try to get you lined up and get you back in next hour, because that one we're actually not getting everything you're saying, and I want to get this range report. Man, when you take a bunch of youngsters out, I want to get the info on that. I appreciate that. We're going to get you set up. We'll get you back on in just when we come back from the break at some point there. We appreciate that. By the way, if you seriously want to keep up on what's going on with this bump stock ban, here's the best way. Follow me on Twitter. I'm serious. You need to get on Twitter. You need to sign up and follow me. I am at Gun Talk. It's pretty darn easy, at Gun Talk. And if you sign up to follow me, I will be kind of tracking this through tonight and all day tomorrow, looking for the news to break, and I'll be putting out tweets about it to update you. If and when I kind of think we're going to get protection for everybody, I will put that information out there, and that'll probably be the fastest way for you to get this info. So if you want to stay plugged in on this and, frankly, on anything else that has to do with guns and gun rights, follow me on Twitter. I am at Gun Talk on Twitter. Also go to guntalk.com, sign up for our newsletter. 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 Sign up for our newsletter.